Yay, we're live.
Yay! Here we are again, Sam.
Yes, another week. And it's the end of July, which is absolutely insane.
I'm like, I remember saying at the beginning of July, I can't believe it's the beginning of July, and now suddenly August is 2 days away. So,
Yes, it's so crazy.
yeah.
And we've had so many great guests on our Truro Famous Chats, and today is no exception. I'm super
No.
excited to welcome our guest. And she's been nominated so many times for Local Love Awards. I think she doesn't even need an intro. So here goes. Here is Andrea Munroe.
Hello.
Hi. One of the things I love about these chats is getting to see inside people's houses.
I tidied this corner just for you guys.
I love it.
The toy shop does not usually look like that.
Yeah, fair enough. And we were chatting actually before we went live, and Andrea and I kind of staged our backgrounds a little bit because I rearranged my furniture so that I had a chair in this corner of my house just so I could show off this new painting that I got from Jen Power.
It's beautiful.
And you have one too.
Yeah, it's that one. I think I did a trade with Jen a million years ago, maybe before she was even one of my staff. I think I traded Enchanted Forest store credit for that painting. I have a lot of Jen's work now, though. I'm a fan.
Oh, she's
I'm a fan. She is so great. And I posted a picture on my Instagram stories this morning, and it was like of the wall of all of the things. And I have so many of hers on my wall that it's just crazy. Between her and Amanda Bent, it's like
yeah, she's amazing too. I have one of hers that I won. It's so cute. It has a bee on it. I love it.
Oh, nice. So, but we're not here to talk about Jen Power, although we'll talk about her for a very long time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're having a very busy week.
Yeah, it's been the busiest.
But yeah.
And so, I was just going to say, especially because you're in the midst of such a crazy busy week, tell us a little bit about what's happening with Enchanted Forest.
Yeah. Well, we're closing down, and actually yesterday was our last in-store customer day, which actually kind of worked well for this because when we had originally scheduled this, I thought, oh, I'll just go out back. It'll be fine. Yesterday was so busy that there was I don't think that would have been possible. It was wild in there. But yeah, so we still have a little bit of inventory left for sale online, but the store is now closed and we're sort of in cleanup and sorting things out. And I have a junk room in the back of the community room because anybody who knows me knows that I'm a little bit of a cluttery person. So we'll have the delight of sorting through that nonsense. Yeah, but big changes for the business and in my life too. It's both kind of sad, but really exciting.
Well, we're really excited for you. Michelle and I chatted about your store closure after you announced it. And, it's one of those tough decisions, but ultimately you just have to do what's right for you. And especially now, I mean, always, but especially now.
Oh, and yeah. You posted too, Andrea, explaining it to people. Like, you seemed so at ease with your decision, you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing and I'm happy with the decision. This is why, which, you really built such a wonderful community around Enchanted Forest. Roxy says hi, by the way.
Hi, Roxy.
You really built such a community around Enchanted Forest that, you took that into consideration when disclosure. So.
Yeah, because I do feel that we're more than a store. And so if I had just been a retail store, my decision would have been easier. I would, there are many retail stores, customers have options online, but it was more than the store. So that was the hard part, was I was feeling like I knew I didn't want to own the retail store anymore. I just need balance in my life. Like 3 kids is a lot of kids, and I don't want to put them last all the time. I'm finding that just me at the kitchen table with my laptop, my kids will say like, hey, can we play a board game? No, I got 17 more emails. Like, I don't want to put them last all the time. So it was a really clear decision that when I picture what I want my life and mothering to look like, this wasn't it. So it was an easy decision that way, and a really hard decision because I love being part of the business community. And I just thought, oh gosh, there's going to be an empty storefront on Inglis Place. And people are going to need to go to Walmart or online, and that's not great for a community in terms of independent business and the way that money stays in a community or doesn't. And the community room is going to be gone. So what about those moms that needed help breastfeeding or whatever? But the library and Maggie's Place have really great community resources for new parents too. So I feel like the families are taken care of, and those places are so great. What I'm going to miss is seeing the babies and the mamas and the human connection of retail. One thing I had considered in all of this, because it took me forever to make this decision, you should have seen my pros and cons list. Oh my gosh. And I was like asking my closest friends and really struggling with it. One thing I had considered was going online with it, kind of like I did during COVID, right? The storefront was shut down. I just did online orders and Facebook orders and deliveries and curbside pickups, and it worked fine. And I think the community would have completely understood and supported it had I gone that way. But when I really started sitting with that and imagining what my life would feel like if I made that shift, it was like, well, now I've taken away the community room, and I've taken away my face-to-face connection with humans that I love. So that's all the soul of the business. And if I take away all the things that I love about it, and then I'm just packing orders and driving them around Truro, it just didn't feel exciting. It didn't feel authentic, or like that's not the reason I got into it, was to sell things. I do sell things. That's how we pay the rent, but that's not the soul of it. So that's why I didn't make that shift to online, and decided rather that I could use my time in different ways that would stay a little bit more true to my passions.
Yeah. And that's really admirable, Andrea. Like, to recognize that, and that you wanted to do something else with it. And I just went, like I said, when you posted that video, I had this weird sadness, happiness, pride. I'm like, you go, girl.
Yeah, I'm feeling all those things too.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great.
So what is next? That's a big question, and it's something that we've been asking a lot of our Truro famous people, because a lot of people, as you know, as everyone knows, are in transition.
Yes.
So, but for you, do you have, I know you've mentioned in your initial video about teaching part-time at Sunstone Academy. Tell us about that too, and what else is next?
Yeah, so I'm not a licensed teacher or anything, so I'm not technically a teacher there, but I'm an outdoor leader. So Sunstone is the school that my kids go to that I'm like super passionate about, because it's the best place in the world, and it's right here in Truro. And on Wednesdays, Sunstone has their outdoor day. So after yoga and meditation and opening circle, because this is how the Sunstone kids begin their day, it's incredible. We go to the park for the whole day, rain or shine. Aside from the depths of winter, lunch is eaten in the woods too. Like, it's the whole day. We don't come home until the end of the day. And so I have a science background. I had a plant science degree, and that was a million years ago. But I'm a big biology, botany geek. So I'll be the outdoor leader that focuses on helping the kids explore nature and learning some science about, how we as humans fit into nature and how we can protect it and observe it and honor it. So I'm really excited to be a part of that. There are 4 outdoor leaders on that day. So that's just one day a week, but it's like such an anchor for me, because it feels so aligned with my own passions, which are kids and environment and community. So nothing could be more aligned with me than that. So I'm super excited about that. And then the other days of the week right now are kind of open. I don't know what's happening, and I'm so excited about it, because I've never in my life, I don't think, had so much space and opportunity that is not defined in front of me. And I'm sort of a believer that things are just going to fall into my lap, and opportunities are just going to be there. So I'm really excited to not know what they are yet, but the universe will be like, oh, look, Andrea has time and space now. Let's show her these bunch of options. Yeah. So I have no idea, and that is really exciting. But also, I used to be involved in the Living Earth Council. I don't even remember when. I'm pretty sure it was before kids. I think it was when it first started. And I really want to be involved in that organization again. I'm a real usually I would be a real volunteer. Like all through my university years, I was always really engaged with different organizations and really felt fueled by that. But I couldn't do that with Enchanted Forest. It was like blinders on, really long work weeks. And I could have volunteered places, but then I wouldn't have had any time with my family. And so I really felt that I was saying no to so many things, and now I can say yes to them. So
that's exciting.
I feel really, really good about it.
That's a great feeling. And you kind of took the words out of my mouth when you said that about, kind of trusting the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I really do hate the term everything happens for a reason, but when, or the phrase I should say, but when I think about employment opportunities in my life and my experience, that has always been the experience for me. And I've always trusted that the universe was going to take care of me, as woohoo as that may sound. But it's been true for me. And so I believe that for you too. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm not scared at all. Some people have been like, is it scary? Like, we're in a global pandemic. It's like environmental recession, economic recession potentially looming. Like, you're choosing to be unemployed. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait. I'm sad to leave Enchanted Forest. It's been the main part of my life, other than my kids, for so long, and it's a huge door and chapter to close. And so it's not like I'm not sad about that. I totally am, but I'm more excited about the things that I won't have to miss anymore than missing Enchanted Forest. Like, there's all these stages through life. I feel like my life happens in decades, maybe. I'm 38 right now, so not totally accurate math, but the last chapter, this last 10 years has been incredible. I had all my babies, I grew my business, I think we bought the house before that. But in any way, it's been a real decade of growth and learning and becoming, but I'm so ready for the next step. So
what's cool too is to say, your focus has been on your business and your kids, as or not in that order necessarily, but what's cool is that you made your kids part of your work too. Like, I love that when you could walk into Enchanted Forest and you'd see your kiddos running around, and they were your models. They were your spokespeople in some cases, but I think that was great that you were able to work your family life into your work life as well.
Oh yeah, there's been lots of benefits there. It wasn't always easy, but it always worked. Like, I had Ruby. Gosh, I had my last day of working with her on a Saturday, or it was Friday night or something. Anyway, she was born at 10 o'clock the next morning, and she was back with me in the store 72 hours after birth. She grew up in the store, and then Ira did as well. And it was intense, but it was also, I think my customers connected to me on that level as mothers or grandmothers, because they could see me mothering, and they maybe felt validated in their own mothering. And a lot of the times I'd be like, here, can you hold my baby? I have to pee. It became a community of people who would help me raise my babies, just as I would help a new mom learn to breastfeed. And we'd sit around in the community room drinking tea and talking about how little sleep we got. And I think that became a vehicle for real connection and relationships that were made. I've definitely had some customers who have become friends, kind of in tears over this, because we were a safe place. And a non-judgmental place where they could be vulnerable, not just to go buy a soother, but to go just connect with another woman who maybe had an idea of what they were talking about or what they were feeling or whatever. It was great to have the kids in the store in so many ways. They are great little demo mannequins too. I think they're going to miss that in certain ways. Alden especially. I think he's really proud of the store because we've got some toys. And he said the other day, oh man, whenever I meet a new friend and it comes up and I tell them that my mom owns Enchanted Forest, they're always a little jealous. It's really cute. I think he has that pride of the business as well. Yeah. And he gets the perks of, if I get him to make a video about something, then he owns that toy. It's a pretty cool gig for an 11-year-old.
That's a really cool gig for an 11-year-old. Amazing.
Yeah.
My favorite baby story of yours, though, is your local love baby story. Because, but can you remind me? Because the timing, I can't quite remember what the timing was. It was definitely our first awards in
Was
2016.
it our first or our second? Is Ira 3 or 4?
3.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for Ira's birth, my due date was the Local Love Awards date. And I was like, I'm going to be in labor, guys. Don't have it. But I remember Jen and Nicole made me a song. They like rewrote the lyrics to a Boyz II Men song and sang it. It was hilarious. But I ended up having Ira. He came 2 days early. And so he came to that ceremony as like this tiny little nugget in a baby sling. It was awesome.
It's so
He will
cool.
forever be our youngest ever Local Love.
Yeah.
Nobody will beat that.
No.
Never, Michelle. You never know.
You know, somebody might give birth during the show.
Let's hope
the kids have been involved in like actual work too. Like when we were doing deliveries through COVID, like especially around Easter, it was so busy. Sometimes Alden and I would have like a 5.5-hour delivery run around Truro and Hilden and everywhere. And we would Google Maps or Siri or whoever would bring us to where we needed to go. And he'd run the package up to their front door and I would text the customer. So he was like, that shaved hours off of our delivery runs. And I'd give him like $5 and he thought he'd be rich. But they've been really helpful in the business in that way. Like, hey, can you run this package to my accountant and can you take that to the post office? More so Alden because he's old enough to help. But they've kind of seen the sweat equity of business ownership. And I don't know if that scared them off of entrepreneurship or primed them for it. But I think that it's a different experience as a child to really see what your parent does. I don't think I really knew what my parents did growing up. Maybe my dad a little bit more so than my mom. I knew my mom worked in an insurance office, but I didn't know what that meant. So they know what small business means, which is kind of a unique experience for a child, I think.
Definitely.
I think it definitely is. And actually, as you're saying that, I'm thinking of somebody like Mariah, who owns My Home Mercantile, who watched her mom, Shelley, with Seashell Design and became an entrepreneur herself. And so I think there is absolute value to seeing that work ethic when you're a kid.
Yeah. And he's a little entrepreneur as well. He was with Little Mr. Fancy Plants when we started that together. So he used to propagate some of our succulents for the workshops that I did. And he also had little plant sale. Kids are cute, right? So if there's a kid selling succulents on Inglis Place sidewalk, like he made a killing. He bought an electric guitar and an amp now he's this amazing little musician, out of the money that he made selling the seeds and plants that he had propagated, which was a really cool experience for him, partly because I didn't just like let him do it. I was like, okay, so this is Excel. And we're going to go over, this is how much a terracotta pot costs. And okay, we've got a bale of Pro Mix. That was a challenging thing even for me. It's like one of those enormous bales of the potting soil. How does a cup of that cost? We figured it out. So he ended up learning like a lot of math and that kind of thing. We talked about like, what do you think somebody would pay for this? And I think that he learned a lot from that experience, even though he didn't like that part of it. He just liked the money. But those sorts of things are really easy to weave in. Like I think there's so much value in that, more so than many other parts of the way we raise kids.
Yeah.
The hands-on.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because when I was selling my first book at the farmer's market, I had my little nephew there with me. And it was, he wanted to be there. It's not like I was forcing him to be there, but my husband and I were talking about it and we were like, this is actually working to our advantage, because he's like, hey, do you want to buy a book? Like he was kind of there sort of shamelessly doing what we would never do in that scenario. But also, like you said, you're teaching him, like it was all cash, but he's taking the cash and he's change and all that. So it's a cool experience in that regard too.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to chat a bit more about Sunstone Academy, because I think there's a lot of people locally, or even maybe not in the area, who don't quite know exactly what Sunstone is. And anybody that I know who takes their kids there or is an instructor there is just so passionate about it. So
you just want to go back to school. Like I want to go back as a student. Like it sounds absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it is magic.
Reader's Digest description of what Sunstone is.
Sure. Well, I hope I do it justice, because I haven't actually spent time there myself yet, really, aside from drop-offs. But I'm great friends with Michelle, the main teacher and director, and well, what a dream team of women, first of all, that work there.
Well, Becky's there, yes.
It's also kind of the Enchanted Forest team. So Michelle Laddie is or Thibault, I can't remember which is her married name, which is her name. She's the director, and she's like one of my favorite humans. Like, she's just the most authentic, loving, but also does not stand up for injustice and is firm. She's just the best. She has such vision. And when you talk to her about children or education or the raising of good humans, you'll get shivers because she's just amazing. So that she's Michelle. Becky is one of the outdoor leaders, and she also does yoga and stuff with the kids. And she also both of Michelle and Becky worked seasonally at Enchanted Forest, so that's fun. Jen, who also works at Enchanted Forest, is the art facilitator because they do art multiple times a week. And music too. See, this school is like, it doesn't put art and music last, or environmental or social justice. It puts them first.
Yeah.
Along with academics, the kids excel there too. But yeah, so Jen's the art facilitator, also an Enchanted Forest girl. And then if you guys know Emma, who worked for me for the last couple of years, she just graduated with her child and youth diploma, and she's going to be an EA. So that's another awesome woman. Yeah. And then Miss Joanna, she's the main Montessori teacher for the primary group. And then Rebecca of Beck and Boosh, I hope that this is not a spoiler. She was a teacher before Beck and Boosh, and she's going to be teaching there as well. She'll be teaching music and is one of the outdoor leaders too. So it's like a dream team of just, it's going to be so amazing. But the kids are incredible. So the school, both Michelle and Joanna are Montessori trained. It's not a Montessori school, but that's a lot of the approach. There's like, the kids are very self-motivated and kind of directing their own learning. They do follow the Nova Scotia curriculum for, I think it's the English language, arts, and math or whatever. But they learn in a very different way. What I love most about it, like academically, my kids are excelling. Ruby is just going into grade 2, but she's reading at like a grade 4 level. Alden, who was like failing math before when he was in public school, he's way ahead. Like the kids excel academically. But my favorite part is just the like emotional awareness and empathy that these children have. They hold each other accountable in a way that you don't see adults hold each other accountable. It's not like a teacher being like, behave, sit down, don't bully that kid. Michelle, I don't think, has to do much in the way of directing the kids. They have cultivated an environment of respect and trust and purpose there, and it's magic, I swear to God. The kids will, I wish I could give you an example, I guess, because this is one of my favorite ones. One child came and just wasn't thinking, you know, kids are impulsive, and like poured some glitter on another kid. And then one of the other kids came in and like put his arm around this little guy and was like, I'm so sorry that he chose to do that to you. He must not have been thinking, like, are you okay? This kid didn't, like the little kid who got glitter poured on didn't care. He's like, okay, I'll come back, but I'm just gonna go talk to him. And so this is a 4-year-old, went to talk to the glitter pourer and is like, I'm really disappointed in your choice because I don't think you realize the impact of your actions. And I just feel that we should maybe be more aware of everybody's feelings, and like, he might not have liked that. It's like, to be a fly on the wall in Sunstone is incredible because the kids won't shame each other. Like, you wouldn't hear a kid be like, what are you doing? You know, they're like, hey, I'm gonna hold you.
Why did you do that?
And I'm gonna like, you are a good human. Like, we can all be amazing, and it's not shaming, and it's like, they're just like, you can do better than that. Let's make different choices. And things are worded in terms of the choices that we make. Anyways, I could ramble for days, and I'm not being articulate because I've slept like 3 hours in the last 2 weeks. But just to see the way the children have compassion for each other, and they can see all sides of a story, and they have time at Sunstone to really delve into those kinds of things. So if the kids they're walking to the park and they see a Tim Hortons cup on the ground, they don't walk by it, because the one kid will be like, hey, there's garbage on the ground. And then they might take 20 minutes or half an hour to talk about that. So they might talk about how why would a person litter and what would that mean and why we have to be good stewards of our neighborhoods and whatever. They also will diverge and be like, I wonder why why couldn't we use a reusable coffee cup? And then they'll get into, where does coffee come from? And does it come from Canada? And are the workers treated fairly? And they'll get into social justice and environmentalism. And they'll get into everything because they saw a coffee cup on the ground. And then they'll take it and put it in the garbage. Like, the smallest things become the greatest discussions there. And to hear a 4-year-old be able to speak about social justice issues, like, it's actively anti-racist, it's actively environmentally protective, it's actively all of the things that we hope our children grow up to be, and all of the values that we want to instill in them, and all of the skills that they will need in this world, because our kids are facing lots of challenges that we didn't think about. But they're going to grow up to be these people who can stand up and speak truth, which is really exciting and important. I gush for days about Sunstone. Oh my gosh, I love it.
And just how organic that conversation happens. Like, I think about school, and this is in no way me dissing the school system at all, but you think about curriculum, for example, how structured that curriculum is for this week we're going to cover, and you have to tick all the boxes of what that week looks like. But if you're just walking in Victoria Park and creating some of that education based on what questions the students have in the moment, that is amazing.
And you'll have 4 and 5-year-old kids, they have genius hour, so they'll do a research project and they create like a big backboard, those like poster boards, and you'll have 4 and 5-year-old kids presenting to their peers, which I think is amazing. Like, the self-confidence, it's like a quiet self-confidence, not like a cockiness that these kids develop. It's really cool to see that, like, that spark, that fire in their eyes, that they know they can take on the world. And the multi-age bit is really cool too, because this year it's a bit different because Sunstone has grown so much. But my son is 11. He would have been 10 at the time. They did this volcano project. Of course, baking soda and vinegar, I think it was. And it was also an art piece, right? And it was science and it was everything. But the kids were paired up. So he was in grade 5, paired up with like a primary kid and maybe another one. And they always talk about what they learn after. Like, there's so much circle in Sunstone. So they don't just like do the volcano. Afterwards, they sit and they talk about the experience and what they learned and what they thought that they could learn that they didn't learn and how it might be better next time. It's amazing. But Alden said, like, it was really cool working with the grade primary student because he really wanted, like, Alden really wanted to paint the volcano black. He's really into black and ninjas. And he's like, he had a specific idea. He wanted his volcano to be black and he wanted to paint the lava. And I think his little friend wanted to paint it purple or something and maybe put glitter on it. And he was like, if I was paired with like Max or somebody, like somebody in his own grade, like, I think I would have really pushed for what I wanted, because like the power dynamics between kids of the same age are different. He's like, but Riley or whoever it was, like, she really wanted it that way, and I feel like kind of a big brother, and so like we compromised. And he did that more because he was paired with a younger child. I think there's so much value in that multi-age environment where little kids can look up to the big kids because they have them right there. The big kids really step into their role as leaders, and there's expectations on them that they fill the boots of, kind of thing. And I feel like that multi-age thing is something that's missing from schools for lots of practical and logistical reasons, but it's a really interesting, like, it lends a really interesting reality to Sunstone, because I don't think it happens in regular schools. Like, I think, there's a grade 6 reading buddies or whatever, but it's not all the time.
No.
So that's a really neat thing that is more organic and kind of like the community. Like, that's how humans, it feels more like a community rather than cohorts of students all learning the same thing. There's like that kid over there laying on the ground, and there's that kid at the desk, and there's that kid doing something else. Another really beautiful thing is that the boys will, like, you'll go up to the park sometimes, you'll see the boys with their arms wrapped around each other or holding hands because they're encouraged to be boys with emotions. And it's just a different, like, I think there's less, I don't want to really say bullying, but you know what I mean? Like, they investigate that at Sunstone. They have conversations about, well, why shouldn't a boy hold another boy's hand? Like, all of those conversations are not a unit to learn. They're just all day, every day. So they're walking to the park and there's a homeless man on the street. That becomes a whole conversation that might end up, the kids end up like making a meal for the residents of the shelter the next week. And that meal isn't just making a meal because the kids were concerned about someone. It's also, okay, let's come to a consensus. What recipe are we going to make? And also, what ingredients do we need to buy? And how much will that cost? And do we need 2 packages of pasta or 1? Okay, let's go to the grocery store and let's talk about unit pricing. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not a unit lesson. It's like
just
life.
Life and human skills. Like beyond skills, they're learning to be good little humans.
It's amazing. I'm so thrilled to be. I'm just a very small part of it now, except for in my role as mom. But it's so,
and so many people don't know about it.
Yeah, I love it so much that I feel like that Wednesday will be such an anchor of like purpose in my life. I don't even care what the rest of it looks like. That'll come. But I'm really thrilled to have, like, Truro is so lucky to have that as an opportunity for some families.
Totally. And I think, you said I think your perspective is one of the most important perspectives, because you're coming at it as a parent, and you'll see there's Sarah, who is a parent, who's a mom. So that sounds lovely. And so to be able to know from a parent's perspective what that looks like, and obviously you're passionate about it and invested in it, but I think that just how great the school is itself.
Yeah, and I hope Michelle is quite humble. She doesn't, try to market it this way because she feels like the families that are drawn to Sunstone believe in this as the way that they would like their children's lives to look. Like, she doesn't need to persuade anyone. There are lots of people who either can't make the choice financially or just they love public school and their kids do great. I think my daughter would do great anywhere. My son Alden didn't do the best in public school and is thriving in Sunstone. But more than the fact that he wasn't thriving in public school, my values are just way more aligned with what I know Sunstone is.
What's the age range, Andrea?
Right now it's primary grade 6, and there's hope of a middle school. And that will all depend on how many students that they might have last year. They're full now. So the primary class, I don't think there's any room. I don't think there's any room in the upper class. So now, because Sunstone has grown, there's like a primary to 2 and a 3 to 6. I mean, the kids are always together too, but for sort of the more academic learning, there's primary to 2 and 3 to 6. And I don't think there's any room left in the primary to 2. And I'm pretty sure the 3 to 6 might be full for this year too. But I'm not positive.
And I just want to, Joanna, thanks for your comment, because I 100% agree. And she says, I'm so glad to hear that the closing of this chapter will allow you to share your talents and passions with young, open minds, and same with Beck. And I agree. And if people aren't supposed to know about Beck yet,
we're breaking news.
I'm really excited.
On Pearl Famous Live.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I just love Rebecca. So I got ahead of myself there. I hope that's okay. I'm sorry.
You know what? Beg for forgiveness. That's how that works.
Yeah. I only mention her because she's like another one of my favorite women.
She's amazing, and I'm so happy to hear that she's going to be part of that family.
She's incredible.
So is the plan, and I think I know the answer, but down the road that this is the same with Ira, that you'd want, or would you want to try him in regular school first, or did you do that with Rue too, that you tried her in regular school first?
I just love Sunstone so much that there's like no other option for me. They're just Sunstoners all the way. We'll figure out how that'll all look, but I have no doubt that it'll just happen. I mean, Sunstone is a private school, and so as a family of pretty modest income, it's sometimes a challenge, but it's the same with my food. Like, there are priorities in life and everybody's got different ones. We will never go to Disney World, but we will put our kids in Sunstone. I probably also won't be able to save for their university in the way that maybe some families would really prioritize, and that's okay. I really feel that these early years are super important, and so we're just making the choice that we're doing it, and the money will come. I feel like whenever you're passionate about something and make a choice, it just comes, it just happens. So Ira's going there.
Yay. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
I need to know, how are your chickens?
Oh, they're great. So we have, this is another thing apparently I'm passionate about and giddy about. So we have 6 hens, and Harriet went broody for like the 4th time. Broody means they want to sit on eggs and hatch them. We don't have a rooster because Brunswick Street neighbors would not be appreciative of that, nor would the bylaws allow it. But we got some fertilized eggs from a friend, and we gave them to Harriet, and so she hatched out 2 little chicks, Cookie and Buttercup. And a few of the eggs didn't hatch, so I went to Windy Hill Farm, which is out like Kennecott way, and I got a couple of, actually I didn't, Alden did. He spent his birthday money on 2 more chicks, because the breed is Golden Laced Wyandotte that he and I really love but didn't have yet. It's like our chicken bucket list. So he got 2 chicks, and we tried.
Everybody has one of those?
Well, yeah. There's so many on mine. I'm going to be the crazy chicken lady. The moment I can get a few acres outside of town, you'll see me with like 55 birds, all different breeds. But yes, we have 2 other chicks, and I have to tell you these names because they're amazing. Alden is a little 11-year-old rocker, and he loves the Smashing Pumpkins. And when we were driving home from Kennecott, one of these chicks was like the loudest friggin' thing ever. It would not shut up. And he's like, let me think of a name. Who's a loud musician? Billy Corgan. So this chick's name is Billy Corgi, because if we like feminize it and Billie, then maybe it won't be a rooster. And then the other chick that he bought, he named Pixie for the Pixies. And sadly, that chick didn't live, but we got a new chick, and he named it Sprite because that's kind of like Pixie. But those chicks are his.
What a cool kid you have who loves
Yeah, so those are we're a little like towny family on Brunswick Street, and I'm pretending to have a hobby farm on my little lot. But that's the other goal of mine. Not so much my husband's, but I've always wanted to have a few acres just outside of town, so that I could have, like, I want chickens, and I would love to have ducks, and I would love to have a couple of beehives. And I have a pretty big garden in town, but like I studied plant science, and I'm really passionate about organic and responsible and sustainable farming and permaculture and things. So one pro of me closing my business is that this fall I could actually work on the house. It's a bit of a gong show right now, as you can imagine, because 3 kids and a business and 12 years of accumulated clutter. But I would like to work on my house so that if the perfect piece of land came available, we could jump on it. And it sounds silly to think that cleaning out my crawl spaces and putting a can of paint on the walls is something I'm really excited about, but it feels like a very purposeful step towards that dream of like a little hobby farm.
Yeah.
I love that. I just have one question about your chickens. And did you name Buttercup after the Princess Bride?
No, but I should have.
Yeah,
we totally should have. Ruby named Buttercup. She's yellow. And I named Cookie because she has like a stripe down her back, and she kind of looks like a reverse Oreo. And the name Cookie is cute on a chicken.
Yes.
So one thing that I love about doing these chats, we've gotten to meet a couple of people that we haven't met before virtually, but we've also obviously gotten to chat with people that we know. But I try to think of how I met the people that I'm chatting with, and I'm sitting here wondering, I don't remember when we met, but one thing that comes to mind is I think it was the Chamber of Commerce during Small Business Week put on breakfast at Party Time Rentals. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah, I do. I had forgotten.
Spoke at it, and I remember thinking, this woman is very cool. She is so, and the number one reason for that is that you're just so genuine and real. And I don't think I've ever said that to you before, but I just want to say, because I know like Sarah's commented again saying, I could listen to you talk all day. And I think part of why people are connected to you in the community that was Enchanted Forest and still is, and today, is that you just have the ability to just be your true self. And that is like number one quality on my list.
Oh, thank you.
It's I feel like the things you do, you really care about. Like, how you speak about them, that you speak with, such enthusiasm and joy for what you're doing. It's kind of contagious. I love it.
Oh, thank you. I feel like a work in progress.
It's become the Andrea Munroe, we love you session.
It's good to hear that, because sometimes I feel like I'm a work in progress. For a while, when I was running Enchanted Forest, I felt really not aligned with, like, Enchanted Forest. When I started it, I was a birth doula first, and Enchanted Forest was meant to be the sideline, because it's hard to feed a family as a birth doula, and it's really hard to be on call all the time.
Yeah.
Drop of a hat, woman's in labor, I gotta go, might not be back for 4 days, who knows. And Enchanted Forest was meant to be a logical, sort of more steady stream of income, so that I could follow my passions of like helping families through that transition to parenthood, but then like also pay my mortgage. And then it flopped, and now I'm a retired birth doula and soon to be a retired Enchanted Forest lady. But like, that soul of the business is all about connecting with humans, and like the village. I know that's really cliche, but like, women need each other, and to just be able to connect and have conversation. That's what fuels me and what fuels the business. And then the magic of childhood, and how I really feel passionate about, like, we need to be spending time with our children, not on our friggin' devices. Like, we need to be playing board games with them, and we need to be outside, and we need to be like slowing down. Like, this world is too fast. We're too distracted. We're trying to cram things into it. It's going by in the friggin' blink of an eye. And then our kids are 25. Like, I want to slow things down and be in the moment and be families and be communities really connected. And so that's like the why, if you could say that. And for a while, like the last couple of years, really, when we moved to Inglis Place, it was a really good move, but it really made things busy for me. Mm-hmm. I was like not living that. I was saying those things. I was choosing products for the store that were like, this is a cooperative game that's so great for your kids, because, we can learn about taking turns and having fun, but it's not a competitive game, because we both win when we win. And like, these products are all about environmental sustainability, like the diapers and the lunch tins and all of that. And these products are about whatever. So the products that I carried in the workshops that we had were really aligned with that vision. So outwardly it looked like, oh, these are the things that she believed in. But then I would come home, and my kid would want to play a board game, and I wouldn't, because I had the business. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like I was not being true for a long time, because you can only do so much, right? But the business was one of those things. It kind of had to come first, even though family should come first, because Inglis Place is not an expensive place to rent a storefront, and the needs of the business are just there. So I feel like this is one way that I'm just being like, you know what, I'm 38. It is time to be myself, uncensored, and like put it all where it is. Like, put my money where my mouth is, or whatever. Like, live the way that I believe, not just because I've got these orders to place, and these orders are coming in, and I've got these emails. Like, you get in a groove, but sometimes you just have to look at that groove, and is it the right one? Does it feel right? Mm-hmm. And so that. Now it really kind of does, even though I'm not sure what my new groove is. There's a whole lot of them. Maybe I'll sit in a few different grooves or straddle some, but I do feel like that's a hard thing to do, because there's like the practical side of raising a family financially and otherwise, and then there's like you as a woman, not just a mother, but a woman herself. And I need to get a little bit of that back too. Is like, it's not just about my children. I'm not going to give up my whole life for them, but I also I want to do things for me that I also can't fit in. So I'm just like maybe on a quest to like figure all that out and get myself together. And it feels really light and exciting rather than scary. So I feel like that's how you know you're on the right path.
Right. I think you're absolutely right. And Jen chimed in and said, she's the best, which I don't know if Jen was tuning in when we were telling her that she's the best as well.
Yeah. You'll have to rewatch the first 15 seconds of this, Jen. And also, look, I have your painting in the background, and so does Sam.
I need one.
I know you need one, Michelle.
Definitely.
Just one thing. I was thinking this, and it might be poorly timed now because we've talked about a couple of things since then, but I was just like, you said something about a board game where nobody wins. I'm like, who wants to play that board game?
Oh, they're so fun. There's one that Alden and I play called Forbidden Island, which of course I no longer sell, but you should totally buy it.
Well, my sister Melissa plays that with her kiddos too, actually.
There's a bunch of them. I have a very competitive kid. We play Catan together, and like he can legitimately beat me now, which is so frustrating because I used to be able to.
Yes.
Like I could lose if I wanted to boost his self-confidence, but now I'm like desperately trying to get the longest road. But me and him can compete and we're fine. But he has a cousin who's the same age. They like can't coexist when they're playing board games. They're like fierce. So for some kids, like if you want to play board game, you have to beat the game, not each other.
Fair enough, but as a competitive person, I just can't imagine.
What's your favorite game?
When you just said Catan, I was just thinking I haven't played Settlers of Catan in a very long time, and I love that one. I love like this kind of strategy game.
Yeah.
But I also love like Clue is one of my favorite board games, and like Sorry and those ones are kind of the classic fun ones for me. I hate Monopoly though.
Oh, I was going to ask about that. I get fairly fierce when I play Monopoly.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And Catan.
And I actually have been known to throw things playing Risk. So there's things that you just, we're learning lots of things today.
Yeah. People don't know that I have a temper because in public, I'm a Gemini. I'm like the stereotypical Gemini. So like at my store, I'm like pretty easygoing and chatty and stuff. But I definitely have a temper that comes out and a little bit of raginess because, motherhood and business ownership and non-sleeping, it happens. But that kind of thing comes out sometimes in games of.
Oh man, it really does. And I know my sister, I mentioned my sister Melissa, she's gotten a lot of board games at your store over the last little while. So she'll be sad that she won't have that access anymore. They love, I can't remember what the other one is. There's one similar to Forbidden Island and they love that one too.
Probably Dragonwood.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Or there's Forbidden Desert too. There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
All of the Game Right games, I feel like they're all winners. That game company is incredible.
You guys have any more games left on your online, like on your website?
I think there's like a memory game left. We have sold almost everything.
So amazing.
Like 4 months of sales in 2 weeks. It's been wild. It's been so great. We've got like some eco things left and some like organic bath and beauty and like wellness care and a few other little things. Really,
we're Padrags left. I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Yeah, we do like no size mediums. What size are you?
I'm a size 8.
No, we have nothing for you, Sam. But Nurture, I should put a plug out because a lot of people are sad that we're leaving from where do I buy quality products? Because I do love my store and what I chose to sell there. And people are like, I don't want to go to Walmart. Like, I just don't want to shop there. But there's not a lot else in Truro. And I hope that changes. I hope somebody will fill this opportunity because with Children's Place gone and with us gone, somebody could create something really incredible that was like apparel, footwear, toys, whatever, baby. There's a huge need. So somebody do that because then I'll be your biggest customer. But Nurtured Products for Parenting in Halifax is a really lovely shop. They're on Agricola Street and they do a lot of the baby stuff. And they've also got furniture and mattresses and car seats and things. And Woozles is a great store in Halifax that has books, but also lots of other things. There's a few shops in the city, and I'm going to make a post about my favorite shops that have the kinds of things that we carry, because I'd love for people to continue to support independent business, even if it's not right downtown in Truro. It's still going to impact our province and our communities in a much more positive way than will shopping at sort of Amazon, Walmart, that kind of thing. I mean, we do what we can, and that's the unfortunate part is that I've taken away the option to shop locally, and I feel really bad about that for myself as well. But I mean, I still feel that my choice is the right one for me, but I do hope that somebody fills that opportunity in Truro.
And Joanna just sent another lovely note to you, Andrea. I don't know if you can see that on the side. You've made the right decision. And your next chapter will be even brighter, which is great. And plugging her paintings for you, Michelle. She's got you.
Yes, I see that.
Well, yeah, it was like she has a sale on too. So I think they're all sold out right now, but you never know. There's other ones I'm sure that aren't on sale that you can get as well. So Andrea, I almost forgot about our question, Michelle.
Oh, yes. So the question I ask at the end of all our interviews, where you live here and you are a member of the community. If you have somebody coming to visit you from another province, town, wherever, where do you like to take them to show off Truro? Where's your favorite place to Truro?
How many days do I have this person? I'm going to show them everything.
Truro is a good answer, just Truro.
Well, when I have like a naturey lover, I show them the park. Yeah. Of course, we all do, right? Because I live on Brunswick Street, and honest to goodness, I walk by that park on my way to work every friggin' day. And Ira's home daycare is right at the base of the park. And I'm so busy that I hardly even go in there. So when I have people to show in there, it's like, oh, good, I get to go too. So I would show them the park. And then I'm really super stoked that Novelty has ice cream. So I would absolutely go there. And then I would go to Laurie's Bake Shop because like donuts and cupcakes with so much icing on them, that's really, really good. We would do a food tour.
Yes.
I feel like we would hit up, it might take several days so that we could fit it all in.
Like literally fit it all in.
Yeah. I'm a small woman, but don't let looks deceive you. I can pack it away. Like 8 tacos, no problem. We would be visiting all of the food places. And then we would, I'd go to my home mercantile. I'd have to show them off because that's just such a fun place to browse in person. Oh man, I just want to see everything in there. You'd spend an hour and not see it all.
Yeah.
And then we go to the Mi'kmaq Interpretive Trail too. I really like that one. That's not in Truro, but I feel that it's
Truro
really And then I want to go mudsliding because I haven't done that in like a decade. But I see Alicia from Truro Buzz doing that now, and I'm like, oh my God, why have I not done that in a decade? Probably because kids, but they would
love it.
Yeah, they would get so dirty. Can you imagine my car? And the car? I don't know if it's worth it. I might just go alone.
I think that's a smarter idea because you'll have more fun that way and you won't have to worry about the cleanup afterward.
Yeah, we would just
I've never actually done it myself. I think we talked about that last week with Carly Burgess. I've never done it before.
I've never done it either.
It's super fun. You get so dirty. You have to think
personality is like dirt. I don't want to get dirty.
It feels so great though. It's so soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I've done that since Moses. So just the 5K, and I walked it. My friend Andrea ran it. But when you're walking it, you tend to get stuck more in that mud. And I sunk down to like just below my knees. And I thought that was where I was going to be forever. I thought that where I lived, I was like, I'm going to be in 5 Islands. I'll be like the cautionary tale. But I have a picture somewhere of my sneakers from after that. They just went straight in the trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be aware when you go mudsliding too of the bathing suit or short bottoms that you wear, because wedgification is a real thing.
Yeah.
And it will happen.
Oh, interesting.
So just be careful about that.
Yeah.
Wear like granny panty sort of bathing suit would be ideal.
Okay. Good tips. Good to know.
That's my life hack.
I love it. And I think that's a perfect way to end talking about onesies and underwear. Thank you so much, Andrea, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Especially because you're in a whirlwind right now. But obviously, we wish you all the best. And thanks for taking the time. And anybody who wants to still order from Enchanted Forest can do so online.
Yeah. And remember that nominations are open until another week, until next Thursday Yes, I'm looking at my calendar. The Local Love Truro Awards for this year. So be sure to get your nominations in. We've gotten a couple of hundred so far. Along, but we understand it's summer and you're like, oh, it's so hard to choose, but just do it. It's fun and I love seeing them come in. So that's the whole point, is to make happy.
Yes, exactly right. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks to Andrea for taking the time. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Andrea.
Good to talk to you.